In the last episode, we spent over 150 days building this starter base, 6 automatic farms, and all I built for my villager trading hall was this dinky thing in the ground, which literally has a pillager in it. It is more than overdue for an upgrade, so in this episode we're going to move our villagers all the way from this village back to our main island and build the ultimate villager trading hall. We have a lot of things to check off the list today, so let's start with number 1, moving all of these chest monsters into the base. Now that I've got a little bit of a chest room going on in here, I want to take all of our stone materials and start making a pathway all the way over to where we're going to be building our villager trading hall. First thing I want to do is a little bit of terraforming. So that we can add a nice cobblestone path all the way down to the area where we're going to be building. And a simple 5 wide path should do the trick. And as you can see, we have already set up another chest monster. And that is because this is going to be all the materials that we're going to be using to build our villager trading hall. Now I've gathered up all the resources that I already kind of had in my chest, but we're definitely going to need a lot more for this build. So let's do a quick material gathering montage. For my materials, I just went ahead and knocked down a couple of spruce trees, AFK'd the skeleton spawner, mined a ton of blackstone, and speaking of mining, I ended up mining all of my copper for this build because my copper farm is a little bit slow and I didn't want to deal with that for this build, which led us to finding a couple of diamonds as well. And just like that, I think I have all of the materials that we are going to need. So we can go ahead and begin working on the outside of the villager trading hall. First, we need to clear out some of this grass. Then we can go ahead and place our schematic. Now I've already designed this villager trading hall in a creative world, so to be able to transfer that over into our hardcore world a little bit easier, I installed a mod called Litematica. Basically what that mod does is it gives you a blueprint of what you want to build without giving you any of the materials. The Litematica mod helped us significantly in building our original base in episode 1, so hopefully it helps us with this build as well. And I guess the only way to test that is to kick it into a building montage. I couldn't get my replay mod to work for the life of me for this time lapse, so instead here's a really bad stop motion version of me building this layer by layer. This build was absolutely massive, so I actually had to pause towards the end and go buy new pants and boots, and mending books for all of my good pickaxes, and also AFK the skeleton spawner to heal up those pickaxes. After all that distraction, we jumped right back into the build and finished it. Now before I can go ahead and show you guys the inside of this place, I need to go get some villagers. Arguably the most important part is missing from our build. So for that, we're gonna head all the way from our main island back over to our village over here. Then we can just borrow some of these villagers into a boat, totally to one day return to their home, right? Yeah, we're just borrowing them, yep. While we're here, we may as well grab our doggies as well that we left last episode and bring them back to their doghouse, which we haven't quite finished yet. That'll have to be a future me problem. Then we can take 2 of our name tags, and one of you guys commented that you wanted the dogs to be named Bark and Bite. So here you guys go, and let me know if you guys have anything else that you would like to name in my world, because I do have quite a few name tags ready for me. Then we just need to bring one of our villagers and one of their buddies back over here to the main island with the trading hall. In the trading hall, buddy, come on. Your friend ran right in. I don't know why you don't want to work here. I mean, come on, it's beautiful. And then we can just lock this guy in here, and I've locked the other one in that section. And now we have 2 villagers in those 2 sections right there. However, we're going to need a lot more than 2. I'm not sure how many I'll shove in each of these sections, but I definitely do not want to make that trip across the ocean more than twice with villagers. So instead, we are going to head over here and make ourselves a temporary villager breeder. And this should hopefully be everything I'm going to need in my inventory. And I think for simplicity, I'm just going to do it actually in front of the villager trading hall, just so we can get them in a little bit easier because it's all on the same level. This farm looks pretty easy, so I'll just kind of walk you guys through it really quick. We're going to make a shape just like this. Then we take one of the beds, put it in the middle, and place 2 beds off to the side of that. Replace these 2 dirt blocks with some slabs. Then on the very edge of the slab block, you're going to jump and place a chest boat. Then we can do the same on this side. Then we can come inside and grab our villagers. There's number 1 in the yard and number 2. Now we just need to wait until nighttime, and then they should try to pathfind to those beds and end up stuck in the boats. I guess there's only one way to find out if that's actually going to happen. Oh, there he goes. There is 1, and there goes 2. Sir, I know you like your job, but please, going to need you to come with me, please. Yep, there you go. Right up the stairs and locked in number 2. Now right underneath these slabs that both of these guys are on, we can start digging a 3x3x3 deep hole. And then on this left side here, we can build this little weird T shape with a dispenser right here, a button on top, and powered rails going away from it. Then we can light the powered rails with a redstone torch and cover it up with a trapdoor and a piece of glass. Now in the corner of our big hole, we can add a piece of water, and all of that water will flow right into this corner. And with all of that complete, this is our temporary villager breeder technically working. So I'm gonna head back to the main base and grab myself all of these carrots. Then we can come back here and give them to both of these villagers. And while we're waiting for these guys to start working, I can tell you guys about my plans for this island. Currently, we already have 2 major structures on our island, that being my main house and the villager trading hall. And we've kind of left behind a lot of debris over here from all of our original farms. So the way that I want to go about this island is having our industrial area over here on the right, and then our residential / shopping district over here, with of course our house being the center so we can access everything nice and easy. And although we are building a beautiful villager trading hall this episode, we aren't actually going to have much to trade with them. So we'll have to definitely start progressing on our industrial area in the next episode. And now that we have a ton of these guys, I can start putting them in their spots and show you the inside of the villager trading hall. Alright, it looks like there's already some iron golems spawning, but we also have all of these guys set in, and they should be linking up to all of these workstations. Yeah, there we go. So the reason that I want these guys is because they eventually trade saddles, which I figured would be helpful. Not as helpful as some of our future trades, but definitely will be useful in the future. On to the next floor, where I have not filled in any of these item frames, but this is going to be our fisherman's location. I wanted this to be set up as if these are like tables displaying all the fish. Usually there would be ice underneath it, so maybe we find some ice eventually and add that to it. So let's add our villagers into here by turning around, and just like that, we have all of our villagers locked into place. And the reason I chose fishermen for this next level is because they eventually trade campfires, which if you haven't noticed, I can go into Freecam and show you guys just how many campfires we've been using all over this build. It is quite a bit. And rather than mining for all of that coal and all that wood, we might as well just see if we can get some really good emerald sources and trade with these guys for campfires. And now onto the third and final level of this building, the brewery. I've already put all of the villagers in here, but unfortunately we are missing all of the workstations for them. And for them to be clerics, they would need a brewing stand, which would require us to have found a nether fortress, which scary. Hence why we have not filled in those stations yet. Eventually, one day. Right, yeah, totally. And with this building now out of the way, we can start working on the next section right in here. So for this very first floor, we have our library. Now, I haven't quite filled out all of these books just because I'm waiting on my cows to grow, but eventually those will be filled in all along this wall and on this one. But for now, this should be enough decoration. I wanted it to feel really cozy on this first floor, so I really jammed in this table in the corner and tried to fill in most of the space with the trading area. And hopefully those bookshelves should really make it feel nice and cozy. Then on the second floor, we don't actually have any villagers up here. This is going to be where I'm going to have my enchanting setup. And just to fill in the rest of the space, we also have a little table facing a really cute fireplace, which if you guys already saw, there's a chimney coming out the top, which I thought was adorable. And again, I think this will look really filled in and more like a library once we get all of our bookshelves set up everywhere. And now to get all of them in here. These guys are pretty self-explanatory why we would want them. Obviously, they trade some pretty good enchanted books. If you re-roll these, probably about 3,297 times, but you know, eventually they get us some really good books to put on our tools and armor. And obviously 3 isn't going to be quite enough, so I eventually want to make them their own library somewhere out here on the island, but for now, 3 should be good. And that building was pretty easy, so it's time to move on to the next one already, which is our third section right here. Very dark in here, actually. Would you like some light? I'll take that as a yes. It's put that right there. I think should be okay for now. Anyways, like I was saying, as you can see, there is a ton of sugarcane down here made for all of our villagers up here. And if you can kind of guess, it is going to be our map maker, cartographer. We use fancy names in Minecraft. I kind of tried to make a little bit of a globe looking carpet right here. It's literally 4 pixels, so I know it's not the best. But I just wanted something to fill in the space for all of these cartographers to have just a cozy little room in here. And eventually I want to fill both of these sides with really big maps, maybe with like a before and an after of the island. And these guys are going to be very useful to us because they are not going to only provide maps, but they're also going to provide item frames, which I really enjoy using in my builds. And now for the biggest and final section of the build. I am really running out of time for this episode, so we're going to speed run this one. This one is the villager station. I tried to make it look a little bit like a farmhouse down here, and if you head up this ladder, it's very crowded, but this one is where we have all the looms for the shepherds. I also added in a little bit of a chest space here because we couldn't fit in any more shepherds, and we did the exact same thing on the top level for all of our Fletchers. Now I do have a big space up here, but I've run out of villagers that I would like to trade with, so if we have any others that we want to add, we still have plenty of room. And the reason that I wanted all 3 of these types of trades is that all of these guys, when they're leveled up, will give us golden carrots, and they're also a very good emerald source when we have an automatic crop farm. And as for these shepherds and the Fletchers, they are both just really good emerald sources. These guys trade sticks for emeralds, which is really easy to obtain, and then these guys trade wool for emeralds, which we have that really good wool farm back over at the base. And even with all of those villagers filled in there and completed, we still have tons in here, as well as some iron golems spawning, so we'll have to figure out what to do with those guys eventually. But for now, that is all the time that I have for today. We have made a lot of progress on this island today, building an absolutely huge villager trading hall, which should help us with our emerald production in the future, decorating each of the interiors, and filling them all in with some villagers, which were made by this very effective villager farm. And once again, in case you guys want to try any of these out, all of the farms that I use in this series will be linked in the description below. I hope that you guys enjoyed watching, because I definitely enjoyed making this episode. And if you did enjoy, I hope you consider subscribing, because I would love to see you guys in the next video. And speaking of next videos, here's a couple that I think that you would enjoy.